Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fortune Tellers Wrestling Show. This is our weekly Raw and Smackdown review. I'm your host, Trenton. It is May 12th, 2019. We are almost halfway through the year, which seems pretty ridiculous. It's Mother's Day today. Thank you for watching. Like I said, Raw and Smackdown review, and I have to say, this episode of Raw and these episodes of Raw and SmackDown were frustrating to say the least. People on Twitter were talking about how this was the worst Raw in history. I don't believe that. I think it was a pretty. I on Twitter on Monday I called the episode of Raw insulting. I think it might have been a knee-jerk reaction. It still sucked. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't a good episode of Raw by any means. It definitely was bad. Nothing makes sense on the show, but, that's nothing new, of course, because it's WWE. What do you expect anymore? If it's not NXT, even 205 Live makes sense. Raw and SmackDown anymore, completely unnecessarily over the top illogical is all I have to say about that. Of course, judging by the title, and if anybody watched Raw and SmackDown, you would know that they implemented a new rule. It's not very often that we get new rules in wrestling, you know what I mean? Like, as far as I know, I think there is a rule book, an official WWE rule book, like you can buy, like as merchandise. I actually, you know what? It'd be a really fun idea to go through that and like read it on the show sometime. But fortunately, I do not have one. But excuse me. Be really. It's not too often that you see new rules implemented, right? I can't even remember the last time a new rule was implemented. Of course, they alter rules, like on like the turn of a dime all the time, but they don't ever implement new rules. That being said, though, yeah, I did call this episode of Raw an insulting episode, which I said was a little knee-jerk, but I kind of still believe it. The story leading into Raw, though, the big story leading into Monday Night Raw this past Monday was Roman Reigns and the WWE Twitter account had a back and forth on Twitter, of course, and basically the gist of what happened was Roman said, now that I'm a member of SmackDown, I'm very, it's my yard now, blah blah blah, but I still have some unfinished business to attend to. And at first, when I saw this tweet, I thought, what the hell is he talking about? What possible unfinished business could he possibly have on Raw? Unfortunately, he had to go due to cancer, and he left for 4 months. He came back to Raw, was in a feud with Drew McIntyre. I was half expecting, to be honest, him to go after the title against Seth. That was his unfinished business, right? He never lost the title. He had to vacate it. So the Universal title, that is. I was half expecting that. And, I would admit, I wouldn't have been surprised if that was what happened. And looking back on it in hindsight, I kind of wish that's what happened after what they actually did on this show. And we'll get to why this doesn't make sense. So WWE replied to Roman on Twitter. WWE said something along the lines of, "You have SmackDown obligations. You cannot come to Raw. You are a SmackDown superstar now." And first of all, we just got through like 2 or 3 weeks of programming Raw and SmackDown where they continuously told the audience that they did not care about the superstar shakeup, right? People coming back and forth between shows. Oh, Andrade's on Raw now, but it turns out he's actually not because whatever, Fox wanted more Latinos on the show, which is, whatever. We all know that that's not true anyways. We all know it's because Charlotte and Andrade are boinking, and they did not want to be separated. So, Charlotte obviously has some power in the company, because she's a Flair. So, she was like, no, I want Andrade on the show with me. So Andrade went back to SmackDown. All right, fair enough, whatever. Just coming back to, it's kind of resembling, I didn't mention this when it happened because I actually missed that episode, I think. And by that episode, I mean this show. It's kind of like when they did the draft in like 2012, I believe it was, 2011, 12. Hell, it might have been 2010 to be honest. I can't remember. But they did their annual draft, and John Cena was on Raw and got drafted to SmackDown. And I thought that, wow, that's a pretty ballsy move. John Cena's always a Raw guy since 2005, but he was, he's their main guy. He's the star of the company. The star of the company is not on SmackDown. Let me put it that way. I mean, The Undertaker was pretty much the locker room leader and the star of the company in more ways than one, but the face of the company was John Cena. And I was like, wow, they're actually going to put John Cena on SmackDown. This is cool. This is new. Same night, they drafted Cena back over to Raw. So, what was the point of that? So this is kind of like what this is, right? People from Raw going to SmackDown, but then going back to Raw and vice versa. And not to mention people just showing up on either show anyways, and not to mention the fact that some superstars just showed up on a new show without even being like announced, right? Like the Club last week. It was the Usos versus the Club last week, and the Club were on SmackDown, and the Club were just on Raw. And I don't even think that they announced that they were officially on Raw due to the shakeup. I don't even think they said that. We just kind of had to put two and two together. Of course, we had to do everything for them, right? Because WWE are some of the laziest pricks on the universe, right? We have to do the work for them and think. So, yeah, stuff like that, superstar shakeup, after weeks and weeks and weeks of telling us that, not outright telling us, of course, but after weeks and weeks of telling us that the superstar shakeup meant nothing, now WWE is telling Roman Reigns on Twitter, you are a SmackDown superstar and you have SmackDown obligations, you cannot show up to Raw. So now they care about the integrity of the superstar shakeup, right? So, fine. Whatever. They were trying to spark some interest into the show. This coming after, the ratings being awful. I think last week's episode of Raw and SmackDown were like historic lows, historic non-holiday ratings, which is, not good at all. SmackDown's going to Fox, and Fox, it came out, or apparently it was reported that Fox are reportedly, that's redundant. Fox apparently are expecting a big number from SmackDown when it moves to Fox, right? They're expecting a 3. Well, let me tell you something, people. SmackDown's not going to be getting a 3. It's just not going to happen. I don't care how much you promote. You can promote a show all you want. You can promote the hell out of a show and market to hell all you want. But that's not, just because it's moving to a bigger channel is not going to change the fact that people still don't care about the show. You actually have to treat it right. I'm still yet to see any logical explanation as to why, just because it's moving to Fox, the show's going to be better. I have my hopes. I always have my hopes, but hope doesn't get you too far in wrestling sometimes. You know what I mean? So my thoughts were, okay, they're trying to do something with this damn Twitter beef between WWE and Roman. Roman replied, though, saying, yeah, okay, just get ready to play my music because I am opening the show on Raw. So, all right. Do they not have security at the show? Like, they literally said Roman was not going to be on the show, and Roman was just like, nah, fuck you. And then he comes up on the show. So to start off the show, let's just get into it, right? Vince McMahon starts the show. Vince McMahon's music hits. He does a strut. The fans cheer for him, of course. because that's what they need to hear, right? Vince getting cheered, even though he's the reason this damn thing is happening. So Vince comes out. He's strutting down. People are bowing to him. He said, tonight's show is going to be one for the ages, and no one will forget the show tonight. Because I'm kicking off the show, of course. And the fans boo. They actually booed him for that. Roman's music hits. Of course, Roman just comes out. And I guess they do, in fact, have the worst. I mean, we know this already. The WWE security team is, like, god-awful. We've seen this throughout years. But even still, like, they didn't have them ready. Whatever. I'm nitpicking all the wrong areas of this fiasco. So, Roman Reigns comes out, and Vince is like, I've got the police right over there if you lay a finger on me again, like you did to me a couple weeks ago on SmackDown. And who the hell do you think you are to be on Raw when you're assigned to SmackDown? That's what Vince says. And Roman says, you watch your tone with me. And yeah, I'm on SmackDown, but I've been on Raw for a long time. And I always said I'd leave this place better than I found it. And when I was out, I saw that you and your spoiled kids told the whole world that we, the fans, were the authority, but that was a lie. So interestingly, they actually brought up that line where, of course, in December, I believe it was, when Shane, Stephanie, Triple H, and Vince all came out on Raw and said that we're the authority now because they even admitted they weren't listening to us. They weren't giving us the show we wanted, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't a good enough show. And we're the authority now. And, of course, that was a lie because the show stayed the fucking same, of course. And Roman was like, you lied, and I'm coming back. He says, your spoiled kids have been running around trying to run the show, and it's over now because I don't listen to McMahon's or take their orders. I take them from the WWE Universe now. And Vince says, do you think you can just show up anywhere and the fans will like it? Which is actually, you know what? To be quite honest, that I don't know. I don't even know. It's just this whole segment felt like a truth dipping into the fake world of wrestling. I hate to say the word fake, but you know what I'm trying to get at. And I'll explain why in a second. Roman says, if these fans keep making noise, I will show up every Monday. And you know what? To his credit, he got some boos. They were in Cincinnati during Raw. And he got some boos. I'd say he got mostly cheers, but there were I heard a portion of the audience booing him when he came out. And Roman says, if the fans keep cheering me, I will show up every Monday night on Raw. And Vince says, that's not going to happen. It would be like anarchy, and I would have no control. And then Daniel Bryan's music hits. And this is Daniel Bryan's big return because Daniel Bryan has been out since WrestleMania with a concussion. And luckily, Daniel Bryan is cleared to return. He's cleared to wrestle. That's great to hear because, of course, Daniel Bryan had to retire due to concussions. And the feeling was that if Daniel Bryan got another concussion, he'd probably just be done for good again. But no, he's fine. He's good. Good to see Daniel back. Daniel comes out. McMahon's like, this is a bad dream. And asks Daniel what he's doing. And Daniel says, I spent the last month in meditation looking for answers. And when I heard that the big dog, Roman Reigns, was showing up tonight on Raw, I figured that I could have an intellectual conversation with Vince. And he starts going back and forth with Roman and Vince. And just Kofi comes out. So 3 SmackDown stars on Raw for no reason. And I don't know what kayfabe reason they had to all show up. I know the real reason. The real reason is that they were going to do this dumbass wildcard rule bullshit. But in kayfabe, what was the reason that Kofi and Roman were here, right? What was Roman's unfinished business? He said he had unfinished business. What was his unfinished business? Just trying to save Raw? That was it? That seems weak. And he didn't even say what his unfinished business was anyways. All he said was that he's just going to show up to Raw and talk shit to Vince, I guess. So Kofi comes out and Kofi says, I know the roster shakeup was a big deal, but I have an issue with Daniel Bryan. And if you had a problem with WrestleMania, you didn't have to go to the McMahons. You could have filed your complaint directly with your WWE champion. And Daniel says, all right, I got it. Kofi, you're an undeserving champion. Should have never gotten a title shot, and your win was a fluke. Of course, it's classic heel BS. That's patently not true. And Daniel says, your 11-year journey was so hard because a pancake-throwing novelty should have never gotten here in the first place. And Kofi says, well, I'm here with the title around my waist, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. And Vince is like, damn it, shut up, all of you, and in his classic Vince voice, and that's my Vince impression, by the way. And Vince goes, I got it. I just came up with an idea, a genius idea. What if we had a wild card rule where 3 members of each roster could come to the other show? I'm a genius. And at first I thought, what the hell is he talking about? And Kofi says, was this your idea the entire time? And he points out Twitter and WWE and Roman's beef on Twitter. And he says, I saw Roman's tweet, and being as Big E and Xavier Woods are on the mend, I'm trying to figure out. He said, I figured, why not show up to Raw also? So that was Kofi's reasoning, because Big E and Xavier are out and Roman said he was going to show up. That was Kofi's reasoning. He said, why should Roman have all the fun? What the fuck is going on this show? What is that? What kind of cockamamie dumb reasoning is that? How does that even make sense? Because one dude's showing up to Raw, you should too, even though you're on SmackDown? Doesn't make any sense. So, of course, Daniel says, Kofi said, why should Roman have all the fun? And Daniel shot in this segment, by the way. He said, nothing about Raw is fun, which in my eyes is a shoot. I just don't care what anybody says. I take that as a shoot, because even Daniel knows this is bullshit. Nothing about Raw is fun. That's true. Nothing about Raw is fun. But Daniel says, I'm not here for fun. I'm here to get my rematch for this title. And Kofi and Daniel get in each other's faces. Drew McIntyre's music hits. Drew says, if nobody in back is going to do anything about this, I guess it's up to me. This is not SmackDown presents Raw. Kofi and Bryan, you are lucky that I care more about that egomaniac Roman Reigns than either of them. And Drew says, Roman thinks he can just do whatever he wants. The rules don't apply to him. Well, I'm going to Claymore hit your ass back down to earth right now. So, you know what? Whatever. I couldn't care less for Roman and Drew again. Roman says, that didn't work at WrestleMania, but you could try again tonight. And Vince interrupts again. And Vince says, what if we had 2 WrestleMania rematches tonight? One being Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre, and Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship. Again, I'm brilliant. What? Okay. So, and then just the segment ends just like that. So we get 2 WrestleMania rematches. All right, so 2 questions, okay? 2 questions. 1, can someone explain to me what Daniel Bryan did to earn his title opportunity back? As far as I'm aware, the rematch clause is over. They literally got rid of the rematch clause. I remember things. They got rid of the rematch clause. Daniel Bryan did not win a match to earn his title, a title shot, right? I know Vince is a heel, and I know Daniel's a heel, but after 3 months of Kofi having to earn title opportunity after title, he had to earn, like, his 1 title shot via winning, like, 4 nuclear fucking gauntlet matches, right? But here, Daniel is just gifted a title opportunity, right? Two SmackDown stars on Raw in the main event, fighting for the SmackDown title on Raw. Okay, whatever. So at this point, they didn't really explain what the wild card. I mean, Vince explained in passing, sort of, what the wild card rule was. But at this point, we still didn't really know what it meant. You know what I mean? All we had to go off of was what he said. And we go to commercial. We come back. McMahon is still in the ring for some reason. And actually, I got that reversed. AJ Styles comes out. And then Vince and AJ are in the ring. And then we go to commercial. So we come back from commercial. And AJ goes to Vince, "What are you doing? I finally get to Raw, and the next thing I know, SmackDown superstars are here." And Vince says, "It's wild card rule. It's wild card." As if it's just common knowledge. Oh, yes, it's just it's wild card rule. What are you talking about? It's wild card. Just don't explain anything. Just say it's wild card. What do you mean? So, AJ says, "That's pretty convenient. I spent years on SmackDown making it the house that I built. And once I finally sink my teeth into Raw and get a shot at the Universal title, you bring Seth's brother in crime back to Raw, Roman Reigns." So AJ's kind of, he didn't say this, but you could put two and two together. AJ's insinuating and implying that there's a conspiracy against AJ, as if Vince brought Roman back in a convoluted, complex scheme to screw over AJ, to help Seth retain his title with the help of Roman, right? I mean, makes as much sense as anything else on this show. He probably has a good validation to infer that. So AJ says, "Is that how this wild card rule works? Because if it is, maybe I'll go back over to SmackDown tomorrow, get a couple of my friends to come to Raw, come from Raw to SmackDown." And vice versa, of course, because the wild card rule is BS. And Vince goes along the lines again, trying to explain it, but then Seth Rollins' music hits. He rushes down to the ring and says, "AJ, I give you the benefit of the doubt for 1 week, and you sucker punched me. That's the last time you'll ever get one over on me." And Seth says, "SmackDown has been around a lot longer than you have been a part of WWE, AJ. It was fine before you. It'll be fine now." I don't know about that, by the way, but whatever. So, this is Monday Night Rollins. And just AJ goes, "I tried to be a good sport, but what'd you do, Seth? You put your title right in my face and you ran your mouth. And if you're going to treat me like I'm not a man, then you need to know that I'm a man that can kick your ass." And they just said, "Nothing's going to change at Money in the Bank. I'm going to win," back and forth to each other. And Vince, I swear this happened, Vince, in the midst of horrible ratings, for no reason, my favorite match, and it's worse for a number of reasons. Ugh, excuse me. My favorite match, Vince goes, "Let's make a match happen right now. And you don't have to wait for Money in the Bank. We're going to make a match with you two right now. Only it will not be against each other. You will not be going against each other. You, Seth and AJ, will team up against a tag team I've got in the back." And Seth goes, "I'm not teaming up with him. What the hell?" Rightfully so. So they protest. McMahon says, "I've made the match. It's already going to happen." And then we just go to break. So if nobody knows, legit, I hate this match. Not this specific match, but this match in general. The match where two feuding stars, normally it's between two babyfaces, right? Whenever two babyfaces are having a feud, they will be put in a tag team match where they will be forced to try and coexist. I hate this match because, one, what is the point of trying to get them to coexist? What the fuck is the point? They're feuding. Why do we need to see them coexist? What's the point? And secondly, again, I have to say, they're feuding. nobody wants to see them coexist. They want to see them fight. They don't want to see them team together in a useless cookie cutter, boring ass tag team match. There's no point in this match happening. So in this time of dire ratings, horrible. By the way, we were like 30 minutes into the show at this point, and this is the first. We go to commercial again, 30 minutes in. We finally get a match, and it's a dumb, stupid, one of my least favorite fucking matches ever. So they're waiting for their fucking opponents to come out. Bobby Lashley's music hits, and I go, "Oh, please, God, no. No, no." And I'm screaming, and on the inside, of course. I'm screaming and just pleading with God that it's not going to happen again. And sure enough, after Lashley comes out, Baron Corbin's music hits, and it's AJ and Seth in a forced to coexist tag match versus Baron Corbin and Bobby Lashley. At this point, with the dumb wild card rule BS and this 30 minutes in, after nonstop talking and commercial after commercial, I was so done with this show. And we were only like 30 minutes into the show at this point. And this match did nothing. This match was boring. Nothing happened in it. They did some cool whatever. They did a spot where Seth and AJ both dive out of the ring kind of at the same time. AJ and Seth sold the whole time. A boring ass, dumb, stupid Corbin match in the time of horrible ratings. This was your opener. I don't know what they expect, to be honest. What the fuck are they expecting to put on matches like this? You know, they put on matches like this and they're wondering what the hell is going on with our ratings. Why is this happening? Well, boy, I wonder. It's not like, you know, Corbin is on the show 24/7. He's on it feels like he's on every segment. Nothing different ever happens. So at some point during this match, Corey Graves on commentary goes, "Dude, with this wild card rule, can you imagine Corbin showing up on SmackDown?" And I couldn't even be bothered to get irritated at that, but I felt I had to point it out just because of the sheer stupidity of the statement, of the excitement of the statement. So, AJ goes for the phenomenal forearm on Corbin, but Seth is right behind Corbin. So Corbin dodge rolls out of the way. He doesn't dodge roll, but it might as well have. He kind of just moves out of the way, and AJ accidentally phenomenal forearms Seth Rollins. So Seth is down. Seth is just down in the ring, and AJ is just like, I'm done. And so AJ attacks Seth, and AJ leaves. But it was obviously an accident. It wasn't like AJ meant to do that, and then he screwed over his partner by leaving. He accidentally did it and then left. So that was interesting. So as AJ's leaving down the ramp, furious or whatever, probably furious that he has to be on Raw, Seth is in the ring looking pissed. Corbin picks him up, hits the end of days, pins Seth. So, of course, just to make me more fucking irritated, Corbin gets a win over Seth and AJ. I mean, I know it was dirty as in it was a fluke win, but even still, the fact that Corbin is pinning the Universal Champion in a dumbass forced to coexist tag match like this, what the hell? You're asking for terrible ratings. Honestly, what do you expect is going to happen? I hate this show. So it cuts to backstage after this match. Miz is waiting outside Shane McMahon's, he has his own dressing room, so he's just waiting outside there because, of course, Miz and Shane's feud will never end. Sami Zayn comes out. We go back to commercial. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, during that tag team match, there were like 3 commercial breaks, it felt like. I think it might have been 2, but it felt like 3. So at this point, it was like 8:50 by the time the first match had ended. So yeah, great show, guys. Awesome show. I'm glad I tune into it every fucking week and waste 3 hours of my life. So Sami Zayn comes out, and at this point, I was like, "You've got to be kidding me! more talking, more useless Sami Zayn promos. And I said a couple weeks ago, I think on the show that I kind of liked Sami's new character in a sense because it was like he is great on the mic, obviously. He's awesome on the mic. He can hack it in the ring. He's kind of a full package, Sami. He's charismatic. But at the same time, I don't like this character anymore because it's just kind of like, what the hell is the point? Is he going to have a match? What's his end game? The fans can only take so much being just shit on, is what I'm trying to say. In a time where fans, in my opinion, are so disconnected right now from WWE programming, the last thing you need to be doing is to push out a quasi Vince venting through Sami character, right? Because all this character seems like is just Sami venting, Vince venting through somebody like vicariously, right? Oh, fuck the fans. They're all terrible. They're all critics. You're all cowards. You all smell. Blah, blah, blah. You suck. You're miserable. I can already hear the critics weighing in tomorrow. You were wrong. I'm weighing in right now at Sunday, so 6 days after Raw, or 5 days, whatever the fuck it is. I can't do math. So as he's in the middle of doing this, I thought, is this ever going to end? Nothing's happening. So then Braun Strowman's music hits, and I thought, oh, great, sweet. I haven't seen this before. So Braun Strowman comes out. He destroys Sami. Well, actually, that's wrong. I'm already forgetting what the fuck happened. Sami ran away, and then Braun went chasing after him. They went backstage. Braun eventually gets Sami's number, and he attacks him, and he beats him up, and they go backstage, and they're out in this weird. I guess it was the parking lot. I don't even know what it was. It was just a backstage area, and he finds his dumpster. Braun Strowman. He's got Sami up on his shoulder, and he finds this big dumpster. He tosses Sami in the dumpster, and at first I thought, okay, what was the point of that? I mean, at least something happened. At least Sami did something, and something happened, right? So I was not done. This dumpster truck, this garbage truck comes by, picks up the dumpster, tosses the trash. It's one of those dumpster trucks where it can lift big dumpsters and dump the trash into its trash carrier, right? And Sami's in there, so he just seemingly dies. Sami Zayn was murdered by Braun Strowman, seemingly, right? Because I have a hard time believing he would survive something like that. Well, I guess I can't say that, but come on. Let's be reasonable here. He got thrown into a dumpster truck, so... Speaking of death, we come back after this, after being thrown into a dumpster. Speaking of death, we come back to Lucha House Party, some of the biggest jobbers on the main roster, winning against local competitors. What? Why? I don't know what the point of this was. Are Lucha House Party really in line for a push? Did they do something noteworthy? They faced off against local competitors in a filler match. That's probably all it was. It was probably just a dumb filler match, right? They got jobbed out to Viking Raiders for like two straight weeks, so I was just thought, okay, whatever, who cares, right? Here they are, just local competitors. This was total filler. So like an hour into the show, our only two matches were a dumb forced to coexist tag team match that was boring, that lasted forever, and a 6-person tag match, jobbers versus jobbers. Great TV, awesome programming. I can't imagine why people are tuning out of this show. I think it's great. So they show some Make-A-Wish stuff, and backstage it's Natalya and Naomi, and they're talking to each other, and they're talking about how they were invited. They got invitations from Lacey Evans to be ringside at Lacey Evans' match later in the night. Formal attire acquired. And Naomi is wondering, who the hell is she to tell me what to wear? And Natty's like, how arrogant has she become? And I'm like, have you watched NXT? She's always been like this. So Dana Brooke comes out of nowhere and says, did you get invitations too? Natalia's like, yeah, we're ready for her nonsense though, aren't we? And Naomi notes how the invitations smell like peach cobbler. Okay. Whatever. Interesting thing to talk about. So that's it. Whatever. Who cares? So Miz is still outside Shane's dressing room, and Ricochet comes out. And the commentary mentioned that this is a Money in the Bank qualifying match, and I thought, what? Ricochet's in the match. What do you mean qualifying? And then Cole goes, Ricochet put his opportunity on the line off screen. I thought, are you fucking kidding me? They can't even devote 2 seconds of Robert Roode challenging Ricochet and putting his spot on the line, his Money in the Bank spot on the line. They can't even devote 2 seconds of screen time to that. They did it off screen. I thought, fuck this show, man. This is so stupid. If Ricochet were to lose this match and Robert Roode were to take Ricochet's spot after putting up his spot on the line off screen, I would have been furious. But Ricochet and Robert Roode, Money in the Bank qualifying match, can't even tell the fans watching, that he put his spot on the line. What about the fans in attendance? They didn't see anything. We had commentary to go off of to tell us that the spot was being put on the line. What about the fans in attendance? What if Robert Roode were to win, and then it was Robert Roode instead of Ricochet, and then they were like, wait, what? Why is this? When did this happen? Why? And then they were to find out that, he put it on the line off screen. This show is so all over the place and infuriating to try and watch. Why couldn't you just devote a segment? Whatever. At least it would have made sense. So Ricochet won, luckily. Ricochet beat Robert Roode with a 630 splash. He gets to keep his spot. So, just commentaries talking about how Rey Mysterio is going to get another shot at Samoa Joe at Money in the Bank for the U.S. title. So hopefully it's not 40 seconds again like at WrestleMania. But I could at least somewhat understand why that was. But Rey and Dominic are walking backstage, and they bump into Heath Slater. They're like, hey, bro, what's up? And stuff. And as if they're really good friends. Ray's going into the locker room, and Ray's like, hey, Dominic, can you let me get ready for my match? And Dominic just walks off. He has his back turned, everything. And then who follows him suspiciously and sneakily? But Samoa Joe. And that looked kind of scary. That was a good shot. I'll admit, that was a good shot. Just him following Dominic very, very astutely and without Dominic's knowledge, like he's a predator. That was a good shot. So it goes to commercial, and back from commercial, Samoa Joe is berating Rey in front of Dominic. So Joe says, I'm glad we finally met in person. And Dominic, you've been here plenty of times with your dad, with your Uncle Eddie. And I noticed last week that you couldn't wait to run out there and hoist your father up on your shoulders. That makes me think that you wanted to embarrass and humiliate me. Is that because I did the same to your father? So Dominic tries to speak, but Samoa Joe just cuts him off instantly, and Joe tells Dominic to tell Rey that he's looking forward to his title defense at Money in the Bank, but in a very loud manner. So after that, we get Lacey Evans, and Lacey Evans is in the ring, and out comes Naomi, Dana Brooke, Natalya, and Alexa Bliss, who were all invited ringside for Lacey's match. And she faced off against a local competitor as well. So 2 straight local competitor matches that meant nothing. I can't say 2 straight. They had the Robert Roode Ricochet match. I'm stupid. But still, another local competitor filler match that does nothing. So Lacey punches the local competitor. I don't even know her name, but Lacey gives her the woman's right. She pins her 1, 2, 3. Lacey gets on the mic and she thanks the people for attending her match. And Lacey says, "You just saw what a real woman is capable of, and it'll be just like that at Money in the Bank when Becky Lynch loses her Raw women's title courtesy of a woman's right." So I just thought, secondly, Lacey says, "Now, if one of you women were to win the Money in the Bank briefcase, if any of you have the audacity to cash in on me, you will quickly regret losing whatever opportunity you had to become a champion." And Becky comes out. She jumps Lacey. They start brawling again. And Becky tries to put the disarmer on Lacey. Lacey bails. So 2 weeks in a row, they're brawling again for seemingly no reason. And so the women, this was like only, I could be wrong, just serving off of memory, but I think this was the only fucking segment for the women on this entire show. And it was only like 2 seconds. It wasn't that long, obviously. It was like, what, 4 or 5 minutes? That much? And how about that women's revolution, huh? We'll get to SmackDown, of course, and their lack of showing the women, of course, and supposedly the women's revolution. So, backstage, Daniel Bryan is stroking his beard, and he addresses the camera and says, "Kofi's constant shilling of pancakes, merchandise, and consumerism is a threat to our very existence. And that's why I have no choice but to eliminate him as a role model for the future of humanity." And Daniel says, "I'm not a role model nor a champion." Or he says, "Kofi's not a role model nor a champion. And I'm here to correct course and regain the WWE title and become what I was born to be, the planet's champion." So this was a good promo. I had nothing wrong with this. So, the War Raiders come out. They show some Uso stealth action, as the summary I'm reading reads. They're up to no good again in their feud with the Revival, and I thought, why the hell are you being stealthy? Like, they're gonna see the Revival are gonna see you anyways. Why are you being stealthy? What do you have to hide? But then, as we see later on in the show, we find out what happens. So, after that, War Raiders are in the ring. They are set to face another tag match, set to face off against the tag team champions, Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. Tag team champions get a jobber entrance. Man, I'm glad we had to devote like the first 30 minutes of the show to just straight up BS and talking that meant nothing. So that we had to shaft Kurt Hawkins, the tag team champions of the world, out of a fucking, entrance. So, of course, the War Raiders make easy work of the tag team champions. They beat them. They hit the fucking Viking experience on them to win, which is that pop-up power slam where Ro throws somebody up into the air as Hanson catches him on his shoulder and power slams him, which is a cool move. So, whatever, who cares? Just give the War Raiders the tag team titles and try to make them a good team, since you've already fucked up their call-up and made everybody think of them as a meme now, So, up next, we get the best part of the show again. So, 3 weeks in a row, this is the best part of the show, the Firefly Funhouse. So, last week, if you remember, we were introduced to Rambling Rabbit, the new character on Firefly Funhouse. And the show starts out, and Bray welcomes us to the show, and he says, "Today's going to be a fun day." And Mercy the Buzzard is off to the side, kind of doing some weird, spooky stuff in his box. Not spooky, but some weird stuff in his box. And Bray asks, "What's going on, Mercy the Buzzard?" And Mercy the Buzzard pops up, and he's got a mouthful of fluff and stuffing. And he says nothing, and Bray says, Bray tells Bray tells Mercy to tell him what's in the box, and Abby says, "Yeah, what are you trying to hide?" And Mercy calls her a hag. So I guess Abby the Witch is not supposed to be Sister Abigail after all. So whatever. Bray Wyatt reaches in and grabs Rambling Rabbit in his decapitated head. What a dark show. He grabs his whole body, actually. So Mercy the Buzzard was eating Rambling Rabbit. And as Bray Wyatt said, Mercy killed Rambling Rabbit, which was Bray's delivery on these lines are so great. He makes everything sound good, even if it doesn't make any sense. And Mercy says that I despise Rabbit for trying to make Rambling Rabbit adhere to his bohemian worldview and ideologies. And Bray says it's okay to express yourself however you like, whether that's painting or flying a kite or ripping Rambling Rabbit to shreds. You can be forgiven. You can even be rewarded. So then they cut to a picnic with children. Bray Wyatt is with children having a picnic and zooming in on. They're all dressed up in fun, kooky little outfits, right? Like one of them's wearing a sombrero. One of them has a couple of beach balls. They kind of have some glasses, some cool sunglasses on, and having a party. So it zooms in on the. This was a neat touch that I didn't see many people point out, but as it's showing these children, the children are not smiling whatsoever. They're not laughing. They're not smiling. They are completely and utterly emotionless. And I thought, what the fuck? This is a dark show. What is going on here? So, Bray says, I'll light the way as long as you let me in. And he waves by, and then the theme song plays. And there went the best thing on the show. So, after this, we get to Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns, as I have to take a drink of water. And it's Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns. I thought this match was way better than their WrestleMania match. I thought this was a pretty good match, actually. This match was fine. I had nothing wrong with this. I wasn't interested in it at first, but well, I liked the match insofar as the match itself was good until the finish. The finish is where I turned on it. So, I thought they had a decent match, but at the end, at the very end, who hits the ring as Roman is about to win than Elias and Shane McMahon? So, so this wild card rule. So, Kofi and Daniel Bryan and Elias are all on SmackDown, and Roman. I'm not completely sure that Vince can do math. Because Roman, Kofi, and Daniel Bryan are all on SmackDown. That's 3 people, right? And now Elias is here. And Shane doesn't count because Shane is on every show because Shane's a McMahon. He's not a superstar bound to one show. So I get that. But Elias is 4 people. So that makes 4 SmackDown stars on Raw when Vince specifically said on the beginning of the show, we're going to let 3 people come from each roster onto each show. So what the fuck is going on? Do they not already know their rules? How did they already mess this? They messed it up not even an hour and a half later. So of course, well, it was probably longer than that. But the point being, they already messed up their own fucking rules. So Elias and Shane and Drew McIntyre triple team Roman. Drew McIntyre stands tall against Roman. So I guess that means Roman versus Drew is going to continue. Unfortunately, because why would Drew stand tall on Roman unless they were continuing? So that means Roman is going to have 2 different feuds on 2 different shows and just kill me. So, yeah, Drew stands tall. And Um, just Shane tries to fucking dip real fast before Miz comes out. Or Miz already came out, excuse me. Miz came out to try to make the save as Drew and Shane, or as Elias and Drew were destroying Roman. Shane dipped because Miz came out with a steel chair and ran him off. So that's what happened. So it shows backstage Shane running and sprinting as Miz is trying to find him, and he does some change of steps to the side and hides behind the wall, and Miz runs right past him like it's a stereotypical dumb stealth action movie. So Shane thinks he's okay for a second. Charlie Caruso comes out of nowhere, literally out of nowhere, out of thin air. I called her Houdini because she just appeared. So Charlie was like, Are you worried that you made this feud too personal with Miz? So Shane refused to answer as Charlie was chasing him down the stairs to try and get an answer. And he goes downstairs in the area he's in. There's a limo right there. Just how convenient. There's a limo there, huh? His limo. So as he's getting closer to his limo, he's about to get in, and Miz comes out with a steel chair. Let me just remember, okay? He has a steel chair. Miz has a steel chair. And Miz comes out from nowhere as Shane is about to get in his limo. And Miz whacks him with the steel chair. He's going ham on Shane. He's destroying him with the steel chair. They go around the limousine. After he hits him with the steel chair, Miz drops the steel chair, starts punching Shane. They start brawling. And Shane manages to get the upper hand, and I think he low blows him and pushes him into the wall, and he gets away. So, to recap, Shane literally no-sold a lot of chair shots. In my eyes, he no-sold it. He might have sold it in like the second half, but as far as I'm concerned, if you get hit with a steel chair like more than 3 times, then you're going to be on the ground in pain. You're not going to just get up, still be on your feet, good enough to fend off a guy. So Shane McMahon stood tall against a guy who had a fucking steel chair. And I actually read somebody tweet out, did a babyface actually outsmart a heel? No! The heel stood tall on the dude who had a steel chair. How is that outsmarting a guy? He outsmarted himself by dropping the chair. He stood tall on a dude that had a steel chair. I hate this show so much. Can't they do anything right? Seriously? Why? Why did you have to have him stand tall on Miz there? That was so dumb. Does anything make sense on this show? Seriously? Do I really have to point out why it's stupid that a dude with a steel chair got fucking owned by a dude that didn't have a steel chair? So after this, they show a video package for Daniel Bryan versus Kofi, recapping his whole journey, Kofi's whole journey to Mania again. Because we needed to see that for the 5 billionth time. You know, more filler. So, in the ring, it's the Club and the Revival. Just in the ring, Club and the Revival. And you know what? Club and the Revival actually sounds like a pretty good match. That sounds like a damn good tag team match. Club are very good. Revival are awesome. I was excited for this match. I thought, sweet, we're actually going to get some good tag team wrestling. Although I do have one nitpick about that idea that they were going to face off, because Club are supposedly heel again, right? They faced off against Usos last week, so supposedly they're heel again, so I don't know how that would work out, but whatever, you know, finally get to see some good wrestling. Some wrestling on a wrestling show. Wow, what are the odds? But it was all to be not because, of course, the Usos music come out. The Usos music hits and they come out, and they're on the top of the stage, they're at the top of the entranceway. Usos say Revival call themselves the hottest tag team in WWE, and they laugh and they keep laughing, and then they look at each other in silence, and then they keep laughing that they would call themselves the hottest tag team in WWE. And you know what? I gotta admit, you know, they aren't the hottest tag team in WWE. They probably should be, but they aren't, so they're probably right to laugh at that notion. So, they say, "You're not the hottest tag team in WWE, but we got something to help you out, make you a little hotter. It's a tub, excuse me, of Usi Hot, UCEY hot, Usi Hot. So it's like a ripoff of Icy Hot. So Usos go, it should be activated right about now, and then it cuts to the ring, and Revival start freaking out. They start going crazy. They're wiggling and they're wiggling their dicks around. You know, they're jumping around. They're scratching their asses against the floor like a dog would, like dragging his ass across the floor. They're rubbing their jackets across their junk like it's a towel. And he said the tagline though of Usi Hot is, "When you perspire, you're on fire, Usi Hot." So I guess what we're supposed to believe is the Usos, when they were sleuthing around earlier in the show, the Usos were put this Usi Hot shit in their gear without them knowing, so that when they put on their gear, now apparently their dicks are on fire when they sweat. So that when they sweat down there, that shit gets triggered and they go crazy. So it's like supposedly, so it's somewhat kind of like itchy shit. I don't know. They might as well just put itching powder in, you know, or they might as well just got a tub of ass cream, you know, but like reverse ass cream. So yeah. So this was obviously an attempt to try and mimic the ass cream scene with the Dudley Boys trolling Christian and Chris Jericho. And I saw people compare this. Well, first of all, let me finish the segment and I'll explain why I hate that comparison, why I think this is death. So they're going crazy. They run up the ring. Usos are like, "Oh, come on, we'll help you. Here's some water. Here's some bottles of water." And they hand Scott and Dash some water. And they open their tights and they pour water down there all over their dick and balls. And Usos were like, whoa, guys, why'd you pour that on yourselves? You're not supposed to pour it on yourself. You're supposed to drink it. Water makes it worse. So they go crazy. They're screaming. They're on the floor, hollering for help and shit and make it stop and blah, blah, blah. And they scream and they run backstage. And the crowd in Cincinnati, for all, you know what, I'll give them credit to some extent. Crowd in Cincinnati was loving this. They were laughing, having a grand old time. Me, on the other hand, people on Twitter actually thought this was funny. Comparing it to Christian and Chris Jericho getting their towels swiped away from Spike Dudley, being exposed for ass cream. And people compared it to that, and I just thought, what? Like, at least I get the comparison a little bit, but the reason I don't like this segment, and I'm not just trying to be a party pooper to shit on the show like all the time, because I don't want to be that guy, you know. Because I'm a fair man. I will promote. I will give something credit when it's good, and I will not give something credit when it's not good. So I don't want to be that guy, but this segment is just another lame attempt to humiliate the Revival. That's all it is. You know? This wasn't clever. This wasn't funny. This wasn't even mildly entertaining, okay? This was just another dumb, stupid attempt to humiliate Revival, try and make their lives miserable, and this did not need to happen in a Revival Usos feud. Revival and Usos should be your fucking awesome tag team feud with awesome matches and awesome storylines, and here we are having the Usos just, for no reason, they've never done this before in their character arcs as far as I know, in their previous feuds, like, say, with New Day, The Bar, so-and-so. The Usos are just trolling the Revival for no reason. Why are the Usos trolling the Revival? They've never done this with any other tag team. What's the point? Kayfabe-wise, I mean. I know what the point is. It's because Vince has a hate boner for them. But anyways, it's just another dumb, stupid segment trying to humiliate the Revival. And that's why I hate it. It serves no purpose. We did not need to we don't need this for an Usos Revival feud. It writes itself, people. You know? People do appreciate some damn good wrestling if you give it to them once in a while. So, just at this point, I was so frustrated with the show. I was so beat. I was like, why am I watching this? This was their solution, right? So, um, No Way Jose comes out. He's out there with his conga line, and Lars Sullivan's music hits to interrupt the conga line and No Way Jose. And of course, Lars Sullivan comes out, destroys No Way Jose. He destroys Cheeseburger, I guess. I don't even know. Destroys everybody. Throws a guy into the ring post. Who gives a fuck? It's a dude, it's a big monster destroying jobbers in their conga line. Not like we haven't seen that one before, everyone, huh? Haven't seen that one before. Wow, what a shock. So Lars, as you know, is on SmackDown. So that is now, I think, 5 people. Because Roman, Kofi, and Daniel, that's 3 people. Then Elias, and then Lars. That's 5 people from SmackDown on Raw. 5! Vince said 3 people for each show. 5. So, it's just, whatever. So, after this ends, we go backstage, and Vince McMahon's on the phone with someone. I don't know who he was on the phone with. For all I know, he could be on the phone with fucking Trump, asking Trump to try and buy Monday Night Raw off of him again, like he did in 2009. So, Vince is on the phone to somebody saying, talking about this wild card rule, trying to explain it. And he says, Elias and Shane don't count. And if anybody past 3 otherwise comes over as a wild card, they'll get suspended. So well, first of all, why does Elias not count? I don't get that. Is Elias not on SmackDown? Why does Elias not count? Is it because he's paired with Shane? So he says if anybody past the number of 3 comes to Raw, they'll get suspended. So let's pretend that Elias doesn't count, which he does, by the way. Let's pretend that Elias doesn't count. So then that's 3 people, right? Roman, Kofi, and Daniel. So then Lars hits the room. He comes in the room. He stares down Vince McMahon with like a hawk eye, and he just stares at him. And Vince is like, "Okay, we'll up it to 4 now. We'll up it to 4." So, just first of all, it was 5 people. Why Elias doesn't not count for no reason? Okay. And even on SmackDown, I'm pretty sure they broke their rule again anyways. I could be wrong, but I'll look at that again. So yeah, just the night of, they changed the rule up again because it needed to be more confusing, everyone. You see, we needed to change the rule slightly because it needed to be more confusing. Because everybody already gets it too much. It needed to be more confusing. So, of course, this is lunacy. Here we got the best thing on the entire show. It almost made the show worth watching. It was the rematch. It's still kayfabe-wise, the rematch didn't make sense, other than Vince making another match for the sake of it. So, Daniel Bryan versus Kofi Kingston for the WWE title. This was a good match. A really good match, I thought. Kofi Kingston was killing himself for these fans. There were like 2 nasty bumps he took on this, where he went after Daniel. Daniel tossed him over the top rope with a back body drop, and Kofi just landed on the floor, just on his back, on his tailbone and back. Just didn't even hit the apron. Like, just straight up hit the floor. And that was a nasty bump. And he also took a bad bump, I think, going off the top rope. So yeah, that was Kofi retained. He hit Trouble in Paradise on Daniel, pinned Daniel clean. I at this point, legit, I tweeted out, don't even care who wins this match. They've already conditioned me to not care about anything. They tell me that nothing matters anymore. So, Kofi Kingston retained against Daniel. He's still the WWE champion. I actually like how they're booking Kofi. They're actually booking him like a serious champion. Although they still need to get him. They still need to stop him in the whole pancake thing. You know, they can keep him in the New Day, of course, but just stop with the pancakes. The WWE champion should not be coming out flinging pancakes everywhere. It's just my opinion. So that was Raw. Raw sucked a dick. Raw was terrible. That was one of the only good things on the show. So let's talk though for a second before we get into SmackDown. Let's talk for a second about why this wild card rule was brought in and implemented. So, as far as I know, from what I've read, the point of the wild card rule was apparently NBC and USA Network were not pleased at all with Roman Reigns leaving SmackDown or leaving Raw for SmackDown, right? Okay, so USA Network was not pleased with Roman leaving Raw because ratings are shit and everything. So, from what it looks like, USA actually somehow believe that Roman equals ratings. Hello? Have you not been watching like the last year or 2 or 3 or 4 of Monday Night Raw that Roman has been the top guy on the show? The ratings continually go down, people. It's not a Roman thing. Roman does not equal ratings, people. I don't know. Vince McMahon actually must have conned NBC and USA Network into thinking that Roman is great for ratings. And it's not. Listen, this is not a Roman rant. I love Roman. I was one of Roman's biggest defenders. You know, I wasn't a fan of his push, but I was still one of his biggest defenders because people could not overlook the fact that people were overlooking the fact that he is a great wrestler just because they didn't like his push. I, for one, saw how great of a wrestler he is and didn't like his push. So this is not a Roman rant, people. This is a stupidity rant. This is not a Roman thing. The ratings are terrible, not because Roman did not leave Raw and the ratings like got terrible after he left Raw, right? Because oh my gosh, we can't watch Raw without Roman on it, you know? SmackDown did not gain ratings and viewership because Roman went there. So their idea right now with this wildcard rule was they didn't want Roman to leave Raw, so they brought in a stupid, convoluted way of getting Roman to be back on Raw. And now on Twitter, they announced that Roman will be on Raw tomorrow night. Again, on Miz TV. He will be invoking the wildcard rule. Can WWE just like, you know, what happened? Why is this a thing? Like, can't some logic just happen? Whatever happened to good old storylines, straightforward, non-convoluted, non-complicated? You can have complex storylines without it being convoluted and complicated. This wildcard rule BS, just end the brand split. It's that simple. It's that simple. You either don't move Roman to SmackDown, which I guess they did because it's going to be on Fox, so they want Roman to be a big guy on Fox, right? He's their big dog after all. So either don't move Roman to SmackDown, keep him on Raw if NBC and USA are going to get mad. And they were pissed off. They were pissed off that they had record low ratings last week. Anyways, so you know, this was WWE's attempt to try and mend some wounds, and it didn't work. Needless to say, did not work, everyone. So I don't know how long this wild card rule is going to last. If you were asked me, they should have just fucking nipped the whole superstar shakeup thing in the bud like right away, because you know it's not working. I mean, as much as I hate to say it, because I actually am a fan of the brand split. I actually think you have better opportunity for more talent and more stories to happen without the need of without having one roster on 2 shows, right? Because then it's just going to be Raw Light. SmackDown's just going to turn into Raw Light at that point, you know? So, I don't know. There's a way to do a brand split with it working, you know? The brand split was intact for, like, forever, you know? SmackDown had their own stories and stuff, like, years before this came out, the brand split in 2016 started. And it worked just fine then. Obviously, the ratings were declining since 2002, but that's another story, you know? Like, the ratings were not terrible and god-awful like they are now. and from 2002 to 2009, I'd say 2010, I'd say. So and even then, that's a stretch because it's a long time. That's a long time ago now. But anyways, that's my rant about the wild card rule. It's still stupid, by the way, because on SmackDown it's dumb. So for SmackDown, they hyped up before the show. Shane McMahon's going to crown new tag team champions. He's just going to crown new tag champions, and they showed on this graphic they made pictures of all the tag teams that Shane might crown new champions for. That was poor grammar. They showed a graphic with all the tag teams in the division of who Shane might pick to be the new champions, right? So much first of all, the fact that Shane is just crowning champions is retarded. Whatever happened to earning your own opportunity? Whatever happened to matches that mean stuff? Can't you just give me matches that mean something? Can't you have a tournament? Tournaments maybe aren't the most original, but when you have a case like a vacating of titles, a tournament's really the only way to go, in my opinion. So we can't possibly have matches that mean something. I mean, the reason that they don't have matches is because their tag team division is pathetic. And as I was saying, they showed a graphic of all the tag teams that might be crowned new champs, right? So the tag teams in this graphic were Heavy Machinery, B Team, Mustafa Ali, and Finn Balor, who were not a tag team, by the way. Shane and Elias. What a pathetic tag team division. They're not. Two of those teams actually are not even a tag team. And also, might I add, why did the club move from SmackDown to Raw? What was the point of the club moving to Raw? The club really couldn't have stayed on Raw or on SmackDown. And of course, the Bar broken up because Cesaro's on Raw. Sheamus, and I'll get into Sheamus, I think, if I remember, but Sheamus might have to retire soon because he's injured and his back and neck injuries have caught up with him again. So the Bar aren't a thing. Why did we have to move the club from SmackDown to Raw? That tag team division on SmackDown is utterly pathetic. So Shane's just going to crown new champs. So after that, they also hyped up before the show. Kevin Owens will respond to Kofi Kingston and how they brawled last week. They also announced a 6-woman tag match. Bayley, Ember Moon, and Carmella versus Charlotte, Sonya and Mandy. And Andrade Almas versus Mustafa Ali in a singles match, which I was actually looking very forward to because legitimately they're two of my favorite wrestlers right now. Andrade and Mustafa. They're two of my favorites. So I was looking forward to that match. Well, everything, everything kind of just went stupidly during this. So, the show starts. It's SmackDown, by the way. The show starts and AJ Styles comes out. So, on Raw, there's the first of the wild cards. And I guess they're allowing 4 now, huh? Guess they're allowing 4 wild cards and not 3 anymore. So, okay. All right, whatever. First of 4 wild cards, AJ Styles comes out. He comes out, talks about the dumb wild card rule, talks about how SmackDown is still the house that AJ Styles built. Sami Zayn comes out. So there's number 2. There's the second wild card of the night out of 4. Sami Zayn comes out after seemingly being killed by Braun Strowman in a garbage truck. And Sami says, I don't want to be here either. And I really hate everybody. And I think they were in Kentucky. I think they were in Louisville, Kentucky during this show. I could be wrong, but Sami Zayn says, I don't want to be here. And I just keep thinking with this character, then why the fuck are you here, you moron? Why would you subject yourself to this shit if all you do is complain to it? But then again, upon thinking that statement, I thought, well, that's what I do, so I'm a hypocrite. So, you know what? Touche, I guess. So, Sammy says this crowd's just a bunch of hillbillies. Kentucky Fried Hillbillies is what he called them. Sammy said, I knew you would pull something like this, AJ. That's why I need to show up and call you out on your toxic ego that's spiraled out of control. And AJ says, you look like uh, you look like do you smell something sour? And I'm glad you made it out of that dumpster you got thrown in last night. But you smell like a foot, and you could have taken a shower. So, um, they started take a shower chance towards Sammy. Um, Sammy says, "I did take a shower, FYI, but it didn't come out that easily, and it doesn't come out that easily." And New Day's music hits. They come out. It's Kofi and Xavier. Um, Kofi tells Sammy and Styles that you can't have a party without the New Day, and Kofi says to AJ, "I hope you aren't talking about your architectural achievements again," which was a funny line, and because that is an amazing catchphrase, but you do not in fact live here anymore, AJ Styles, and he goes along these lines, and I want to know. Kofi goes, "I want to know what you're doing here tonight," and AJ says, "I want to return the favor from last night." So Xavier says, "You better check yourself before you wreck yourself." Those are actually his words. And he actually said that. And sorry, I got sidetracked a little bit. And Kofi says, "Yeah, I am the champ, and I'm the champ." And AJ, you came all the way over here, and now you're both in the same. Now we're both in the same ring. So, what are you going to do about it, AJ? And Sami Zayn interrupts and says, "Please tell me you're not going to offer AJ a title match tonight. I love you, Kofi. So I'll tell you the truth. Nobody else will. These fans are not happy for you." So of course he's a delusion heel, and in my opinion, Sami was right in asking why the hell Kofi would offer him a title match, because Kofi is actually like a strong champion. He's defending his title all the time, but is he not a dumb champion in my eyes? He's a dumb champion. He puts his title on the line every chance he gets. You know, like every single chance he gets. I guess you could say the same thing. People are gonna say, "Well, you know, you don't say that about you wouldn't say that about John Cena during the U.S. Open Challenge and everything." But I mean, I guess I can kind of see that, yeah. So I don't know. I just feel like the difference between John Cena putting his title on the line in that U.S. Open Challenge every week, the difference between that and Kofi's putting his title on the line is that John Cena did not have to go through 11 years of waiting to get one opportunity. He had to win like 5,000 gauntlet. He didn't have to win 5,000 gauntlet matches just to get one shot. He finally won the title, and now he's still just going to put his title on the line nonstop. That's what Kofi did. I don't think that's smart. You know, it's one thing if you're like a 17,000 time champion of the world and U.S. title holder and whatnot. You know, that's one thing. It's another to go through an 11-year journey through hell to try and get one shot and win it and then just put it on the line over and over again. I think that's my justification for not liking that. So Kofi says, "You know what? I'm going to put my title on the line against both of you." So it's a triple threat. Just like that. I guess Kofi has managerial powers, right? Just he's that simple. So yeah, wild card rule. Much like, oh yeah, I didn't even mention on Raw. 2 SmackDown stars main eventing Raw for the SmackDown title. I think I might have already mentioned that. I don't know, but I mention it now. So, and now here we are on SmackDown's main event. 2 Raw superstars fighting for the SmackDown title. What in the hell? Why does this show lack so much logic? What would happen if AJ or Sami Zayn won the title? Would they go back to SmackDown? Would they go on both shows? I don't know. There's some more stuff that we need explaining, huh? So Kevin Owens is on the screen. He's in his car and he says, "Today's my birthday," which it was, by the way, on Tuesday. "Today's my birthday, and once I got to the building, I realized I didn't want to deal with any of this shit on my birthday, so I'm going home. Good news for you, Kofi. Bad news, your title reign ends at Money in the Bank because I'm winning that title." So Mustafa Ali comes out. They do a really cool video package for Ali, and it's now Mustafa versus Andrade, and Andrade and Zelina cut a promo before the match starts, and just saying the normal general stuff. I'm gonna win Money in the Bank before you, and blah blah blah, whatever. So I was really excited for this match. I was really looking forward to this match because, obviously Mustafa Ali is an awesome wrestler. Andrade is fucking awesome. So I thought, where could you go wrong? We could actually get some good wrestling. And so this match starts, and it's starting to get going, and then out of nowhere, Randy Orton comes out and just destroys everybody. Hits RKOs out of nowhere, left, right, and center on Mustafa and on Andrade. So I'm like, are you serious? They just stole an awesome gangbuster fucking match from us. They just took it away from us. They hyped up an awesome match and then took it away from us after 5 minutes. Way to go, guys. Way to go. I can't imagine why people are tuning out of your show. I just want some wrestling. Is that too much to ask for on a wrestling show? But at least Randy hit his RKO out of nowhere. He hit his obligatory RKO out of nowhere. That must mean something, right? Oh, thank God he hit his RKO out of nowhere. That means it's good. If he hit an RKO out of nowhere, that means it's good. That's most people defending this shit. No, I'd like to have a wrestling match that was a lit match they hyped up for a couple days, and then it just ended after 5 minutes in a DQ. So, after that, Shane McMahon comes out, and they hype up how he's going to crown new champions. And Shane, and honest to God, I was expecting him to crown him and Elias as tag team champions since they've been aligning, and they showed themselves on that graphic that WWE made, by the way. So that's what I expected. I thought it was going to be Shane and Elias as the new tag team champions. Luckily, though, they did not do that. Still stupid what they did, but I'll explain why it's stupid. So Shane comes out. They show a recap of Jeff and Matt relinquishing the titles, and Shane goes late, and then, ladies and gentlemen, that worthy tag team to be crowned tag team champions, Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan. So, yeah, so I know Shane's a heel, and I know Daniel and Rowan are heels, but what did Rowan? And again, I'll even still explain why this is dumb. So they're about to accept the titles, but right before Shane's about to hand them over to Daniel and Rowan. But right as he's about to do that, the Usos music hits. So there's the 4 people, everyone. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's Sammy, AJ, Jimmy, and Jay. That's 4 people now. You filled in your 4 superstar wild card rule allocations. 4 people. And I'll explain why I'm making a big deal out of this in a little bit, because, yeah, I'll just get into that later. So, Usos come out tonight, who are on Raw, and say, whoa, Shane, what are you doing? Are you really just going to hand the titles away after the New Day, the Hardy Boys, the Bar, even Shane yourself earned those titles? Knowing the value of those titles, you're just going to hand them over to Beavis and Butthead? And Shane says, you know what? You raise a good point, the Usos. You raise a good point. You know what? You're right. It's going to be you, Usos, versus Daniel and Rowan for the tag team titles. And at this point, my head was spinning because I was like, okay, for starters, it's at least a positive that they're having a match for the titles and not just handing them over to a team, right? But I have to say, what on God's green earth have Usos done to earn a SmackDown tag team title match? They're on Raw. You're just giving away title matches for free with this new wildcard rule. Nothing means anything anymore with this wildcard rule. Literally nothing means anything. You can just go to a new show and get a title match. So Usos come over And might I add, Daniel and Rowan also didn't do anything to deserve this match in general. Well, maybe not to not to deserve the match, but you know what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is neither of these teams really deserved any of this match happening. So, especially the Usos. So, Shane is like, yeah, you're right. We're gonna have a title match right now for the titles. And I was like, fuck this shit. This is so stupid. A Raw tag team going after the SmackDown tag team titles. What does it mean if they win the titles again? I have to ask that again. What does it mean if he wins the title? If they win the titles, do they stay on Raw and with the SmackDown tag titles? Do they do double duty? I don't know. They need to explain things better, which they won't because it's WWE. They never explain anything. So, as far as the match goes, this was a pretty good match. Of course, the Usos are awesome. Daniel and Rowan are good workers. Great workers. I shouldn't say good. They're awesome. But the match itself was good. They had some fun sequences where everybody cleared the ring except for two. Rowan and Jay are in the ring. Rowan hits a claw slam onto Jey Uso to win the SmackDown tag team titles. So they gave Rowan the rub. They didn't let Daniel get the pin. They gave Rowan the rub. And I think Rowan has actually been pretty well protected, if I'd say so myself. He's won a lot of matches for Daniel and himself. They're pretty, I mean, they don't have a good tag team record, but I haven't seen Rowan being pinned too much, is all I'm saying. Maybe I have a short memory. I don't know. So, so SmackDown's new tag team champions are Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan. You know what? Whatever. I guess it's better than just being handed the titles. I actually had to earn it, so whatever. At least it wasn't the Usos. I would have really had blown a gasket there. So, after that, Shane is still in the ring. I was like, please, for the love of all that's good and holy, get Shane off my screen. I was sick of seeing Shane. Too many damn McMahons on this show. So many McMahons. Can we get like a week, one stinking week without any McMahon being on the show, please? Bring back general managers for all I care. You know, general managers are better than this shit. So, Shane McMahon's in the ring with both Money in the Bank briefcases on display on like tables. Shane says, there's some information I need to get out about this ladder match. It only happens once a year, and any superstar that can ascend the ladder and grab the briefcase is almost guaranteed to become champion. It's one of the most brutal, physical, and he gets cut off. And The Miz from Raw, comes out of nowhere and attacks Shane. And I'll take a sip of water and explain, of course, why this is stupid. Okay, so The Miz is on Raw. Sami Zayn, AJ Styles, Jimmy, and Jay are the 4 people allowed to come to SmackDown in this new wildcard rule BS. Miz makes 5. They already broke their rule. They broke their rule again. That's 5 people. And they didn't even mention it on commentary. And I know what people are going to say. They're going to try to spin it as, well, Jimmy and Jay are one act. They're a tag team. They only count as one entity. And I say no. I say BS. I say that's not true. Because there are tag teams that have... There are tag teams that have singles matches all the time. How many times have we seen Jimmy Uso face like Cesaro in a singles match? They count as one person. If you ask me, they're a tag team, of course. Their tag team's one entity, but Jimmy and Jey Uso are 2 different people. Therefore, they broke the rule again. They broke the rule again by having 5 people on their damn show. 5 people. And they also did not even explain, by the way, that tag teams count as one. So, you know what? If they were to at least explain that, if that's the rule, whatever. Then if that's the rule, at least it would make sense if if they made that the rule, I mean, I wouldn't like it, but at least it would be an explanation. But they don't like explaining things to us. Do you really think they like explaining things to us? This is WWE we're talking about. So, Jimmy and Jey Uso are separate superstars, is what I'm trying to say. They're two different people. That's all I'm trying to get across. So, whatever. This fucking show is stupid at this point. Miz attacks Shane. The B team comes out because I guess the B team are now randomly heels and now Shane's goons for no reason. B team try to take on Miz, and of course B team used to be the Miztourage, so there's some continuity there that they didn't even in past storyline they didn't even bring up, which would have been a neat little tidbit. So Miz fends off the B team 2-on-1, furthering the facade that Miz is somehow John Cena now. He can just fend off two people. I don't care that it's the B team. B team are still capable. B team are the wrestlers that went like 15 to 20 straight minutes taking on Roman Reigns, and they can't even take on Miz 2-on-1. Holy shit. There's no continuity on this show. So by transitive property, Miz is technically stronger than Roman Reigns, is what they're trying to say. That's what I got out of this. So, Shane eventually comes back out with a steel chair and destroys Miz with a steel chair, standing tall over him 2 nights in a row. Wow, way to book Miz, huh? They can fend off the beat team, but not Shane McMahon. Fuck off, man. This show is so bad. So after that, Daniel Bryan and Rowan are backstage talking about their great tag team title win, and they bump into Heavy Machinery. Heavy Machinery just stares at Daniel and Rowan. They all have beards. The most bearded out match in history. That's probably not true, but they just both stare. Daniel and Rowan look at each other in disgust, and they walk off, seemingly setting up Heavy Machinery versus Daniel and Rowan. So I'm sure Heavy Machinery will not win the titles and be jobbers in no time. So Ember Moon makes her entrance for this tag match. They changed this tag match up a little bit. It used to be a 6-woman tag match. It was Charlotte, Sonya, and Mandy versus Bayley, Carmella, and Ember. But they changed it to just Carmella and Ember versus Sonya and Mandy. So, it was not boring. It was a standard ass tag match because these women did not have a lot of time. These women, they put it all out there, of course. They put up 100%. They had a fun spot. Ember did a suicide dive onto Sonya outside, but then Mandy came flying out of nowhere with a flying knee, which looked pretty gnarly. That looked good. Other than that, though, there was like nothing on this match. Mandy Rose hit the Angel's Wings onto Ember Moon. I'm sorry. According to everybody else now, it's called the Fairy Tale Ending. According to Mauro Ranallo and Nigel McGuinness, which I don't know why they can't just call the Angel's Wings. That's what it is. So yeah, Mandy pinned Ember, won the match for her and Sonya, and this match was like legit. This match was like 2 minutes long. So altogether, your women's division main evented WrestleMania. You marketed that as some of the greatest thing to ever happen in sports history. The promotion and marketing for that match was just through the roof. Through the roof promotion and marketing for that women's main event at WrestleMania. They acted as if it was the greatest WrestleMania main event in history. But now, just 1 month later, the women on 5 hours of programming, legit, no exaggeration, got 6 minutes of screen time. 6 minutes out of 5 hours. I'm sorry, but I do not want to come off as one of those guys that's like, more women this, more women that go a little over the top, that think everything is an injustice towards the women, because I'm not like that. I will say that it is an injustice to the women, though, that they got 6 minutes of screen time on 5 hours of show. I guess they forgot that the women's division is a thing once Ronda left, right? It only means something when Ronda's a member of it. And Charlotte and Bayley were nowhere to be seen. And after the match, Kairi Sane and Asuka came out with Paige to stare down Mandy and Sonya. Paige said, I used to represent you guys in Absolution when you actually meant something. But I traded way up, and now my team are going to rip through the tag division, starting with you two next week. So we're going to get Kairi Sane and Asuka versus Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. So hopefully they actually do something with that match. And of course, also, by the way, the women's tag team champions were nowhere to be seen on Raw or SmackDown. Nowhere to be seen. I guess they were in catering. I think they were on main event. Peyton Royce faced Nikki Cross on main event. So, but on your main shows, the tag team champions of your division, your women's division, were nowhere to be seen. And the women in general got 6 minutes of screen time on 5 hours of show. I'm glad that Shane McMahon's on my screen like nonstop. You know? I'm glad that we have to see Miz versus Shane. I'm glad that we have to see Miz chase Shane with Benny Hill music like in the background, like every segment on every show. That's an exaggeration, but one too many times has that segment happened. So Matt Hardy is backstage. He's being interviewed by Caleb Braxton about Jeff and vacating the titles, and Matt's like, Jeff and I had to vacate the titles. It was heartbreaking to do that, but he did have his surgery and it was successful, and he will be back better than ever. R-Truth comes out of nowhere, and R-Truth is like, I came to tell you something, Matt, but I forgot. And Matt says, was it about Lars Sullivan? Because Lars has been destroying Matt, Jeff, and Truth for weeks and weeks and weeks. So, Truth says, oh yeah, I forgot because I didn't want to remember. And Truth says, Lars isn't like anyone I've ever faced before. And his hands are like death traps. You get caught, you get got, which is a funny line. And Matt Hardy says Lars is a true monster, and Matt freezes. He freezes. He looks behind Truth, and Lars is standing right behind Truth. And Matt goes, there he is, and he takes like a fighting stance as if he's like. He takes like a weird ass fighting stance as if he's like Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. As if it looked almost like he was doing the praying mantis. If anybody's ever watched The Office, the ping pong episode where Dwight does the praying mantis pose, that's what it looked like. It looked like he was trying to summon like a wizard or something. So I don't even know, but it would look really funny. So Lars takes on Truth and Matt 2-on-1. He destroys both of them. Truth gets powerbombed through a table backstage. What a convenient table just to sitting there. So Lars just breathes heavily. And I think now is probably a better time than ever to talk about this Lars Sullivan shit. In January, when Lars was first getting called up to the main roster, his past comments on certain message boards and shit came up and were brought up, and he said some very racist and homophobic shit on his past message boards. And I first, when that first happened in January, I did not think much of it because I didn't actually keep up with it. Like, it's not just because I read it and didn't think anything of it and just brushed it off. It's just because I didn't keep up with it at the time. But now I did, because this controversy came out again out of nowhere, seemingly, with Lars and his shit. So this time I did keep up with it. And I have a point to make about this. This new trend that has started like last year with this new PC culture. People will dig up old tweets, like old jokes. Like, I think Cedric Alexander had a joke. Cedric Alexander had a tweet from like 2011, and it was something like, "It's not rape if you yell surprise." That's what he said. And somebody dug up that old tweet. Cedric apologized for it. He said it's not who he is today, blah, 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 whatever. And this is a new trend where people will dig up old comments from message boards and shit and try to shit all over them now, like years later. And normally, I hate this. I hate that trend because it's like dumb. It's just a dumb trend. Like you're gonna try and persecute somebody for dumb shit they said years before, and they're probably a changed person now. However, I will make an exception right now with this because I have read the shit that Lars said on these message boards, and I have to say this is not just some dumb trolly comments that that someone makes, right? It's not like some dude on a message board went STFU N-word, right? Lars didn't say any of that. Lars wrote very, very specific and detailed stuff, like racist and horrible, homophobic stuff, and stuff about there's a gray area with rape, and this was not just. I saw JD from New York tweet that he came out in defense of Lars, saying that it was bullshit, all the hate he was getting, and he was just trolling. It's like, really? You think these long, detailed, long-winded shit he was writing was just a troll? That's not just a troll. That's a thought. That's an opinion. That's what he thinks. You don't write long shit like that just to troll somebody. You know? At least in my opinion. You don't write long detailed shit like that to troll somebody. You write you call people the F word and call people the N word and stuff to troll like an edgelord does on So I think we should dispel of that stupidity. In my opinion, I don't think he was trolling. I think that shit, obviously, people change. It was years ago. It dates back to like 2007, I want to say. I think people are open to change. I don't know. I'm not going to, I'm still open to the hope of Lars Sullivan has changed his ways and he's actually a better person now and stuff. But you know what? When you start thinking shit like that, what he said, and I'm not even going to dignify it by reading out what he said, because I'm doing a Smackdown review right now. I just wanted to make a point about this because I might as well. When you say stuff like that, that seems like it's deeply ingrained in your mind. So I don't know if he has changed or not. I'm still open to the thought of him having changed. I think I hope he has. Obviously, I'm hopeful. People are already saying, "Oh no, he's impossible to change." Well, you don't know. So people were bringing this up, saying, calling for WWE to release him, fire him for his stuff, and people called like sponsors and shit that WWE have to like talk about this, and I said WWE is going to do nothing. I was talking to Eric off screen, off the show before, and he said that he thought the WWE was going to release him, and I thought, no, they're not. You think they're going to do anything about this? Hell no. They're not going to do anything about this. Why would they? It would be kind of it would be a breath of fresh air if they did something about it, Like, you can't have a guy that said this type of shit working for your company. I'm sorry. Full stop. Unless you can prove that he really has changed his ways, you cannot justify a guy like this being signed to your company. It's a PG show, everyone. You got sponsors, you got lots of deals. You can't have a guy like this on your show saying this type of shit. You just can't, And again, I'm still open to the idea that he's changed. I just don't know. If he has, I don't know. So they're not going to do anything about it, though. People are actually thinking that he's going to be released and fired. Why? What do you have to believe that that's going to happen? They're doing business with people that decapitate and stone gays. They're taking money from a government that stones gays simply because they're gay and won't even allow women to be on their shows. Of course, I'm talking about Saudi Arabia, and they announced that they are going back to Saudi Arabia. Name of their show is going to be called The Sands of Time. I guess it's a Prince of Persia themed style show. So Lars Sullivan came out. He did not come out on Twitter, but he came out and apologized and said, I'm not like that anymore. It was a very short apology. It was a very short statement. It was not a very deep apology is what I'm trying to say. It looked very it didn't look genuine. So it leads me to believe that maybe it was just probably a dumb apology that he was told to do because WWE's just gonna try and hope this goes away. They're just gonna try hope it disappears and fades away. Nothing fades away with the WWE universe, dude. What the fuck do you not understand about that? When has any controversy ever faded away in WWE? Nothing fades away with this controversies in WWE ever. You people should know that better than anyone. So yeah, nothing's gonna happen. They're actually gonna try and act like nothing happened, and like they're just gonna try and act like sweep it under the rug and hope it goes away. That ain't gonna happen, everyone. So yeah, just a final thought. This is not a case of trolling. If you read what he said, very detailed comments were made. This is not just shit that goes away, right? Shit that goes away is you using the N-word like an edgelord, right? That's shit that goes away with age. That's shit that goes away when you grow up, right? Shit that doesn't go away, deeply rooted, long-winded thoughts about blacks and minorities and gays and rape. That doesn't just go away after 10 years. I'm sorry, it doesn't. And it might go away a little bit, but odds are probably not. So I just want to make a point about that. We'll see what happens with Lars. I doubt anything will happen. So after that happens, Aleister Black cuts a promo. He says that he is both our wrath and our salvation, and he has to apologize to his opponents for his overcompensatory need to prevail at their expense, because they're the embodiment of the sins of which he speaks. Now that I've revealed this part of myself, I must ask for forgiveness from my own sins that I'll seek absolution for in the form of victory that I'll take from all of you. So that was a good promo. I'm wondering what they're going to do with Aleister. I really like his promo work, and he's very serious. And up next was the main event: AJ Styles versus Kofi Kingston versus Sami Zayn for the WWE title. This was a really good match. This was probably the best thing on the entire show. Did a lot of cool spots. Sami Zayn hit through. Well, I get to that. This was a really good match. AJ was outside the ring for a while, and he was pretty much out of the match the whole time. And Kevin Owens swerved us, came out of nowhere, attacked Kofi, and he said he was going to be gone, but that's not true. So it was a swerve, right? It was a heel line. So he came out, fucked with Kofi some, tried to screw him over, attacked him. Xavier Woods was out by ringside watching, and he attacked Xavier Woods as well. And KO leaves. Kevin Owens leaves. And Kofi's distracted. So Sami hits 3 Blue Thunder Bombs in a row onto Kofi. And he does not win. He does not win. He kicks out of the first one. He hits it again. Kicks out of the second one. Hits it again. Kicks out of the third one. That is the one move that Sami will never win with, I feel like. And at least in WWE. So yeah, he hits 3 through Blue Thunder Bombs, but Sami gets him up. He's gonna go for the Helluva Kick. Kofi counters with the Trouble in Paradise. He pins Sami Zayn 1, 2, 3, retains the WWE Championship. Kofi comes out to Xavier at ringside, who's hurt. And Caleb Braxton comes by ringside and asks, is Kevin Owens in your head right now? And Kofi goes, Kevin Owens is not in my head, but at Money in the Bank, there will be hell to pay. So that was a fine end to the show. SmackDown, still kind of lame. It's just kind of a drag. Raw obviously was terrible. WWE is just screaming, turn away. Please turn to something else. Please go watch basketball on Mondays. Please. Raw's just terrible. SmackDown obviously better this week, but what the fuck, man? The show's always bad. So that's it for SmackDown. That's it for the SmackDown review. And before I go out, I guess I'll go into detail what is announced for the shows on Monday and Tuesday, this upcoming Raw and SmackDown. So Kevin Owens invited Kofi Kingston to be on the Kevin Owens show this Tuesday. Will Kofi accept the invitation? I don't know. Will he? After that, Finn Balor versus Mustafa Ali versus Randy Orton versus Andrade in a fatal four-way match is set, just to see who I guess has some good standing. Because these are the go-home shows for Money in the Bank. I can't believe Money in the Bank's this right here. So I'm looking forward to that match. That's going to be I think that's going to be a good match. And people were saying, "Wow, how creative!" Well, I just want some wrestling. That's all I want. I don't care that it may seem uncreative to some people, but Randy Orton and Ali and Andrade and Finn in a fatal four-way match sounds like a good match to me. It sounds like a really good match to me. So whatever. I'm totally cool with this. That's fine, as long as doesn't have a fuck finish. I don't know how you can have a fuck finish in a fatal four-way match, though, since there's no DQ, but whatever. I know how you could, but whatever. So, it's Kairi Sane and Asuka versus Mandy and Sonya in a tag team match. So that's what's set up for SmackDown. What's set up for Raw, though, tomorrow night, the wild card rule is in effect again, as Charlotte will show up to Raw, and Becky will have a double contract signing. They will have a double contract signing for her two title matches at Money in the Bank between Lacey Evans and Charlotte Flair. Double contract signing. So, whatever. Contract signings are meh, so whatever. And WWE goes, speaking of the wild card rule, Roman Reigns will use it yet again when he appears on Miz TV, which everybody is just excited about, just so excited about. That was sarcasm, of course, but they can't not have Roman on the show, right? They have to have big dog Roman Reigns on Raw. Just get rid of the brand split at this point. So, also on Raw, another fatal four-way match is set in advance with the women. It's Naomi versus Natalya versus Alexa versus Dana Brooke in a fatal four-way match. That match I'm really not looking forward to be quite honest. That match sounds like I was going to say shit, but that match just doesn't. I won't say shit. It won't be shit, but it won't be. It probably is going to be nothing. It's probably just going to be a nothing match. And the last thing they announced, Baron Corbin looks to ground the high-flying Ricochet in one-on-one action. I don't know about you, but a match that really gets me excited is Ricochet versus Corbin. Ricochet, one of the greatest high flyers of the last 20 years, right, is going to be in a match where he's going to be grounded the whole time in a boring-ass chinlock fest. Oh, I'm so excited for that. I'm so excited. If you can't tell, I'm not excited for Corbin matches at all. So, you know what? For the first time in a long time, I'm genuinely not excited for Raw at all. At all. Not one bit. And, also, I forgot to say, it will be Braun Strowman versus Drew McIntyre on Raw. So, you know what? Whatever. They're just putting the people in the Money in the Bank match against each other on the go-home show. So, whatever. Who cares? So, that's what's set up for Raw and SmackDown. I think that does it for my show. It's a good show. My throat's really hurting. I'm gonna head off, and I guess I'll see you Saturday or Sunday. It'll be Saturday. Well, not Sunday because Money in the Bank, so it'll have to be before Sunday. So, or maybe I could just do. No, it would have to be before Sunday, obviously, because I'm busy Sunday watching the show and other stuff. So. I'll see you on Friday or Saturday for the next Raw and SmackDown review. So the go-home shows, of course, for Money in the Bank. So I'll see you then. Have a good one, everybody, and happy Mother's Day. Goodbye.